Well, holy shit. Apparently, a juror has started speaking out. This is obviously a juror on the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. Now, they're allowed to. They can do what they want, right? Their names have been sealed for a year. Unusual, of course. But it makes sense in this case that they'd be sealed for a year. But each jury can come out and say whatever they want. It doesn't matter. However, we've got no way of validating these. So this is all rumour. But allegedly, this is a juror. So take it all with a pinch of salt, and take it with a pinch of salt when anyone claims they've had an exclusive. Anyone. When anyone says they've had an exclusive, take it with a pinch of salt, because we can't there's no way to confirm it at this point in time. But it's interesting. This individual is apparently blowing the lid off how the jury felt with respect to Amber Heard. So fascinating stuff. Please do subscribe if you're new here. Please do check out my Twitter, which is linked in the description box, at Mr. H Reviews, as well as my Instagram. I'd love to have more people over on those platforms. But let's check it out. So, exclusive. Everything she was saying came off like bullshit. This is a man claiming to be a juror in the Depp Heard trial. Says the moment Amber Heard lied about donating divorce settlement sunk her case, and that jury believed Johnny was physically abusive, but not the instigator. Fascinating stuff. Okay. So, let's get into the meat and two veg of this. In fairness, this actually does make sense, right? That the money that she lied about, that money is what sunk her, because it's also what raised her in the trial versus the son that Johnny Depp had in the UK. Them not looking into this donation properly in the UK trial is what went in the son's favour. So it makes sense that this is also what sunk her. So a man claiming to be one of the 7 jurors in Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's defamation trial has lifted the lid on their deliberations, saying they felt Heard was unreliable and a gaslighter, and describing her as the instigator of the marital violence. I don't think there's no one that has, well, there's probably someone, but most people can agree it clearly seemed to be a volatile relationship, mutually, but one more so than the other. And one more so the instigator than the other. And that one obviously being Amber. I don't think most people aren't running around saying Johnny Depp did nothing, right? But just as it was put on Depp that if he was the instigator and Heard reacted, then it was, reactionary violence or something like that. Same argument can be used here. Anyway, the alleged juror began his TikTok video by saying he wanted to remain anonymous. The names of the jurors have been sealed for a year following the trial, but jury members are allowed to come forward voluntarily and share their own experiences. He then proceeded to explain the jury deliberations, describing Heard as a poor witness and saying they found Depp far more credible, which made sense. He was more relatable, he admitted flaws, and he opened himself up to, basically that he wasn't the perfect man, which Heard was, if you believe what she was saying, she was bloody angel. Now this individual says, and I quote, "What would you say was the moment that you were like, nope, if she's lying about this, then she's lying about everything?" Sorry, this is what a TikTok user asked. And he replied, "I would say the donation pledged to charity." Heard had promised to donate, obviously, the money to charity, but apparently this is what made them go, oh crap, yeah, so this is very clearly a lie. We found out this lie, so she's very clearly going to be lying about other stuff, because this is a big thing to lie about. So impressed about the lie, Heard would obviously claim she used the word donate and pledge synonymously. What an idiot. Ugh, I couldn't believe that. I honestly could not believe that. But no, the TikTok user heaped praise on Depp's lawyer Camille Vasquez, saying she did a great job and was critical of Heard's sister Whitney, who testified for Amber. She seemed to be supporting her sister out of obligation and manipulation to me. This is what the jury member said. Didn't seem like she wanted to be there. Nope, that's pretty obvious. Anyone watching that would agree. And asked if the jury hated Heard. The juror replied, not hate, but most didn't empathise. How can you empathise with someone that was very clearly acting? Now, the jurors in Fairfax, Virginia spent 6 weeks listening to evidence and then 12 hours weighing it up, which is not a super long time. It's not short either. But yeah. And anyway, so this individual says, so today was my last day of being a juror on the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. And I wish to remain anonymous, but I thought I would give some insight about my thoughts about the trial. He said he was not especially informed about either the Texan actress or Depp before the trial began. And he goes, I don't follow pop culture too much, so I haven't really been a fan of Depp or Heard. So I feel like I can be pretty unbiased about the whole thing. But from the very beginning, when Amber Heard was testifying, everything seemed off with how she kept making eye contact with me, and it made me extremely uncomfortable. That's what everyone was saying was probably going to happen. To the extent where I would no longer look over at her when she was giving her answers. I would just listen intently, and everything she was saying came off like bullshit. So he said after the trial ended, he scrolled through TikTok, and it blows my mind how every single person seemed to be commenting on how weird her eye contact was. It was very strange. Everyone watching the trial was like, please stop looking at the jury. It's odd. Someone's asking you questions. Look at her. Look at the person asking you questions. And this individual, the jury, supposed juror anyway, says, that was my gut feeling after all the information in the trial. But Amber Heard, what a crazy woman. One TikTok user commented further and says, it was killing me to know if the jury was uncomfortable. It's good to know that they were uncomfortable, because that's what we thought would happen. I was uncomfortable just watching it on TV. I felt bad for you guys. He replied, couldn't even look at her anymore. And in a second video, this individual followed up because he was asked how he felt about Heard's lawyer, Elaine Brederhoft, when they said that they basically accused all the jurors of not following the rules. And the juror replied, I'm trying to view this from a place of empathy and understanding. I'm not sure if you guys noticed how much Amber Heard was gaslighting Johnny Depp. She could never admit she was wrong. Which is true. You can even tell how she spoke to him in the recordings. She never admitted to him that she did anything, and she carried that onto the trial, which, again, that's what makes her a very unreliable witness. Not credible in any way, it makes Johnny Depp credible. And I feel like we as humans naturally take our own personal truths to the grave when we can't admit that we are wrong. So I feel that that is what her team is doing now, doing a smear campaign to not admit that they were guilty, because if they were just to cower down and accept the verdict in a way to the public eye, it can be seen as admission of guilt. So I think this is just their way of trying to claw and tooth their way into trying to save dignity in some form for Amber Heard. It's bad show. Bad show. So this individual was then asked in detail how the other 4 men and 2 women came up with a compensation amount. Depp was sued for $50 million in lost earnings following the publication. So that's what he wanted, and then Heard countersued for $100 million. So the jury obviously awarded him $15 million, $10 million compensatory damages, and then $5 million in punitive, but then that gets lowered to $350 grand, because that's Virginia's statute, basically. And Heard was awarded $2 million. So this individual replied, so Amber Heard was awarded $2 million in this case for a couple of different reasons. If you remember, she was also suing Johnny Depp in this trial for defamation due to the statements made by Johnny's lawyers, who were stating that Amber roughed up the apartment to make it look way worse for police. Unfortunately, the fact of her doing that or not doing that could not be proven. But it could prove that it did defame her in ways due to those statements made by Johnny's lawyers, which makes sense. He further explained why they wanted to issue awards to both rather than just doing the calculations and making one award. So you might be wondering, why not just award Johnny $30 million instead of 5 and give Amber $2 million? Well, it comes down to accountability and holding both parties accountable for what was done wrong. So asked why they did not award Depp the full $50 million, he replied, unrealistic amount and not all the jurors agreed on amounts, so we found a happy medium. Makes sense. It's a significantly lower happy medium, but sure. Many jurors wanted to award the $50 million, and sometimes in life we have to compromise. And they did have to make it unanimous, so that does make sense. So another TikTok user then followed up and says, were the jurors all on Johnny's side, or did you guys have to find a compromise? We found a compromise, he replied. Makes sense. Wouldn't say I believed her, but saw it as they both thought that they're both guilty in defaming each other. So this individual was then asked, they said, that almost everyone felt Depp was more credible, and asked if they all felt the same way. He replied, most everyone, yes. It wasn't completely unanimous at the beginning of deliberation, but we all did agree that she was more guilty than Johnny. So it's like a worst case, the worst of two bads, I guess. So let me know what you guys think down below. Again, this is unconfirmed at this point in time. Anyone saying that they've spoken to them, just take it with a pinch of salt, because we just can't, we don't know. There's no way to prove it yet. All this stuff can be forged until the names are released in a year. Anyway, let me know what you think down below. Cheers, guys. Take care.